Hi Gemini, this is Heather, the medium on the mission, and I'm bringing you your August forecast. And I know there's been a lot of energies that have been sort of popping around lately in July. It's been very, very crazy. And so I really want to set the intent, or I am setting the intent, I should say, for Spirit to bring through just positive messages and kind of a healing from the things that have been experienced through the month of July. You know, there was a lot of energies, we had the eclipse, we have retrograde, we're just barely coming out of that, we're still in it technically, and so I just want to keep it lighthearted. I want to keep it positive and encouraging, and the feeling of, you know, I feel like everyone kind of got beat down a little bit through the month of July. I mean, some of you may have gone unscathed, and that's fantastic, but I just feel like it brought up some stuff, right? Highs and lows, peaks and valleys, and I feel like August is going to be a reprieve from that, and I feel like the energies will just be really kind of good going forward, and I want to keep that in mind. So it's interesting. So I am just asking for Spirit when they bring kind of a one-liner, like what's one word that I can resonate with for Gemini, or I not resonate with, but the individuals that listen. And so I'm getting peace, and so just peace is really what I'm getting for Gemini for the month of August. And so I just wanted to make sure to give that to you, because that's the first thing I've heard when I set the intent for this reading. And so just like I've done before in the past, I'm going to do I'm trying to keep it where, so body, mind, and spirit. And so really the way that is, it's body is kind of at the lowest level, right? Our physical body, and then the mind, and then the spirit. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do there, and that's my intent of doing it in that direction. On the other two Aries and Taurus, I sometimes reverse mind and body, but I want to bring it back to really the hierarchy of the way that I see the energy flow and be consistent in that way. So again, I'll pull a card for the first one being body, mind, and spirit, and then we'll do just a kind of a powerful message, or happy thought message at the end to wrap it up for the month of August. So with that being said, let's begin. So Spirit, what messages do you have for Gemini for the month of August? What positive messages do you have at this time to be able to give them information regarding the body and what's going on in the physical body for Gemini? Okay. So I'll just sort of shuffle, and if I get this one popped out here, be bold. Okay. So and before I forget, I do always set the intent as well for Spirit to come forward, either incarnate or discarnate, and what that means is loved ones that are still here in energy form that can kind of bring their messages or anything like that, or that are crossed over. And so never know what's going to come through and what to expect, but I just sort of kind of trust the energy of whatever I'm getting. And I am getting a young male energy that's coming forward, and I just feel a youthful sort of energy attached to this individual. This can be someone's son. This can be it feels like a sun energy, but you know, again, this goes back to, I say this all the time, the labels. Even though someone might come in as your son, it might carry a different type of energy. Maybe this son is almost like a parent to you, or maybe you have a nephew that is like a son to you. Maybe you have the boy next door that is always at the house and is like a little son to you. Maybe it could be any of those type of things. It feels like it would be that of a son type of relationship. That would be kind of a connection there. And so that's what I'm getting on that. And so again, going back to the body connection here, I'm getting be bold. And so I feel like the biggest message that I'm getting with this is this feeling of sort of stepping out and doing something very unconventional, and the feeling of, and this is the peace. It's not what I originally would have thought when they gave me the word peace, but it's being at peace with being in that space of and owning who you are and being bold and not making apologies for it. And so that's really what I'm getting on that. And it's kind of finding peace with where you're at this space and time. And so that's what I'm getting at the body level. And so really that, you know, perfect 3D, you know, it's all about kind of being bold and I feel like we spend all of our younger years really dealing with insecurities and trying to conform into this society of what's, and I'm going to take that card because it completely flew. Okay, so spirit signs. I don't know if you can see that here, but this is basically the spirit signs, and this is on the mind. And so it's, you've got your feathers, you've got your coins, you've got electrical, you've got your number synchronicities here, but that's really what that is. And so let me just keep going with my train of thought here in terms of the energies that I'm getting. But basically, it's this feeling of us coming into this life and having to, from a young child, we really kind of look around and try to figure out how we are to align ourselves to this world and who we should be and what's expected of us. And we look to our neighbors, our community, our parents, our churches, our spiritual institute, whatever, to kind of define what that looks like. And I feel a little, I don't want to say a breakaway of that, but a feeling of being at peace with who you are and what that is, regardless of who you were told to be. And this spirit sign being on the mind is just that validation that, look, this is spirit communicating with you. You don't have to go and adopt another person's way or beliefs of how you should be in this life. It's really about, like, when you see those signs and synchronicities, it's the acknowledgement of you lining up to the vibration that best suits you and fits you, and you adhering to that and getting in it. And that's really what that is. And that's really what's coming in the mind space of this feeling of the validations of these number synchronicities around you, everything. This is just validating everything that you're seeing in this direction, this change that you're having in this life is really moving in a positive for you. It's really sort of transitioning everything. And I do feel like it's interesting because as I'm just sort of kind of connecting here more, I do feel like there might also be an influence of a mother type figure. And I don't know if as I'm saying, it's the feeling of sort of breaking away from that energy, or I don't want to say breaking away. It's more about finding peace with that, okay, so gosh, this piece is coming up in many different ways, which makes sense why Spirit gave me that word for you, for Gemini, for August. Basically, it's this feeling, I feel like some of you, and this could be a mother figure, it could be a woman of influence in your life. It's the feeling of, like, almost like in life maybe having to be a certain way, or that not, and I wouldn't say it's like a doctrine or like put upon you per se. It was more of the feeling of like an undertone of comments, or maybe the energy, again, the feeling of sometimes people don't say anything, but it's sort of the energy that and being this intuitive person that I believe that you are, you picked up on those feelings of that you were getting from this individual, this female. And it's this feeling of, like, maybe sometimes I wanted to be a certain way, or I felt like if I said these type of things that there might be judgment coming from this individual, this lady. And it could be a mother. I'm getting a strong influence of a mother type person. So again, it doesn't have to be a mother, but it's the energy vibration of a mother that would have that type of influence on you. So, but it's that feeling of sort of breaking away from that. And, you know, it could be one of those things where it's like, oh no, I you know, your mom doesn't, you might, this feeling of, it's a projection, right? So it feels very big on perceptions. And so even if the reality was that, let me say it this way, we see things through the lens of our comprehension. And so whatever lens that you took the experience with this female, it's stepping away from that and really kind of being bold and saying, you know what, it turns out I'm going to do things my way going forward. I'm going to step out and push the envelope, and you may get a reaction, you may not, but it's really about that. It feels like there's been a holdback on that, and this month it's on. And so it's this feeling of moving in this new direction, being bold, and just being backed by Spirit, and you getting the confirmation of the direction you're going. So it feels super positive. It feels really good. It's very exciting. It's like you do you. You're letting it out. Stella's got a groove back. I mean, it feels very much like you're owning this space that you're going into, and you're making no apologies about it, and that's just beautiful. So Spirit, what do you have for Gemini at the spirit level for the month of August? What messages do they need to know on the spirit level? So the soul, spirit, kind of that deep level of knowingness, and what do they really need to kind of take with them for the month of August in terms of their growth and their development for the sign of Gemini. Okay, soul relationships. And so So what I get with this, it's this feeling of when you sort of step out into this space, and this feels like it's interesting because I think Aries got this as well, and they did, but it's this feeling of sort of going in this new direction of new connections with individuals, and soul relationships doesn't necessarily have to be, again, I go by vibrations, and so it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. But it's this feeling of creating deeper connections by stepping out and kind of going into this direction because you're starting to own who you are. I can say personally for myself, when I sort of came out, if you will, in terms of my spirituality and who I am, I probably lost some friends. It obviously hasn't fazed me, but it's more about the people that have my circle that has expanded in a way that I'm just so in gratitude for. So I've created so much deeper soul connections and more importantly, the awareness of the ones that were there all along that I didn't connect with them at that deep level because I feel like there was an aspect of myself that I was sort of hiding and I wasn't kind of stepping out and just being bold and just owning who I was. And so this to me feels all about that in this space, and it's really about stepping in and owning who you are and making no apologies about that. And as a result of that, you kind of connect with these deeper soul level relationships unlike you've ever had. Like, it's that feeling of like, had I known all these years that it was just me owning who I am and embracing that, then I would have stepped out a lot longer and really sort of made those deeper connections in this physical life. Because it's one of those things where if you don't connect in this life, you still go back to the other side and you reconnect with those people, and you have those relationships. But sometimes in this physical life, we don't make those connections. But it's like when you can make those connections and you can do it in this physical life and then carry it over to the other side, it's amazing. It's like you've never skipped a beat. And so that's the biggest thing that I get for you, Gemini, for the month of August. It feels really good. It feels really positive. It feels about family connections. It feels about connecting with like-minded people, deepening your soul relationships. Let me just see if there's anything else here as well. I do feel like I feel like there might be some, I just feel like overall relationships, I'm not getting a strong pull on any one type of relationships. It feels like overall, being able to kind of really provide expansion. But the other thing I'm hearing too is that it's coming as well, that it's like, you may not feel the full effects in the month of August, but it's sort of when you step into this space, this is what's coming. So I feel like I want to put this over here a little bit more in terms of timing to where you can really kind of meet that fruition. It's going to come in time, but just trust the direction you're going in the process, and it feels like it's going to lead you to more of those soul level relationships than ever before. And so I'm going to pull a power card. So these are the Power Thought cards by Louise Hay. She's amazing. I don't know if you guys can see that too well, but there you go. So at any rate, okay. So let's see what, so Spirit, and let me just call in Miss Louise Hay herself, see what energy she's got for you that you need to know, Gemini, for the month of August. Let's see, these ones are not very easy to shuffle, so I'm just going to kind of do it this way and see what we've got here. There's plenty of them. I'm going to pop that one so it came out. Okay. I am unfolding in fulfilling ways only good can come to me. I now express health, happiness, prosperity, and peace of mind. I am in the process of positive change. That's awesome. That is exactly what I was just saying. It's that feeling. And look at that. I'm really drawn to these. It's like these like doves, like white doves or something of peace. Wow, that's amazing. It just feels really like it's kind of, and the scissors here are kind of freeing, cutting away from the mold and just really becoming bold. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. It really resonates deeply with what I've got here in terms of the message from Spirit, and I just feel like a strong sort of connection with that. And I just feel like this feeling of sort of breaking away from what the past and what the expectations were, and just really, and again, it may have not been pushed upon you, but you may have perceived it that way, and your perception is your reality. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so there's that positive change that's really coming for you, and it feels really good, really positive, and just keep going in that direction, and know that all of this will just create an expansion for these soul relationships to come in a way that you have not experienced them before. It's like all of a sudden you start aligning more to your people, you deepen your bonds, and quite frankly, by being bold, you might have people in your life that you've had a connection with, but to deepen that relationship on a soul level and to really have that soul connection, that's what we're all here for. I mean, in reality, that's what we want, but we let our guards up. We block that energy because it's a fear of kind of what if they find out who I really am. And half the time, well, I wouldn't say half the time, whoever you are, that's exactly who you should be. Don't take off any sort of mask or any expectation of what others have put upon you, and just own it, because you're beautiful who you are, and we all have that capability to shine our light. And it doesn't mean that there are others that won't embrace it. I know there's some times where we're just not suitable for all audiences, and that's okay. And but it's about honoring who you are and making no apologies for it, and letting the rest move on that don't serve you. And quite frankly, it's great, because then those people that don't resonate with you likely don't resonate with them, and so they can move on, and you guys save yourself the heartache and drama of having to do and be and act a certain way that's just not conducive. So it's really about shining your light and not making apologies for it. So I hope, Gemini, that was helpful. That's beautiful. I just see kind of all the connections there, and that dove, it's interesting, the dove there, and then the feathers here. It feels very, all I could say is, peace. That's what you've got for the month of August, and well deserved as well. So thanks, Gemini. Have an amazing August. Namaste.